General Manager Brad Stevens just confirmed that guard Malcolm Brogdon and center Kristaps Porzingis will be ready for training camp, and I couldn't be more excited for some more Boston Celtics news. Welcome back to Celtics Digest. I'm Bruce Veliz, and in this video, we'll explore the topics of Malcolm Brogdon and Kristaps Porzingis being ready for training camp. Also, Brad Stevens made some comments on the rookies that we picked up and other players to fill out our roles, and he's very confident that the Celtics still have a chance of making the championship. So welcome back to this episode of Celtics Digest. But before we get into the news at hand today, I would just like to say that 94% of you guys who watch our videos are not subscribed to Celtics Digest, and would greatly appreciate if you guys hit that big red button and joined our Celtics Digest family. We've been rapidly growing our YouTube channel over the past couple of days, and I can't thank you guys enough for how many of you guys who hit that red button. But we'd like to gain more subscribers, as we'd like to get to our goal of 1,000 subscribers before the start of the season, and we're just getting there faster and faster. So hit that red subscribe button and make sure to get all your Celtics content here on Celtics Digest, as we upload almost daily here, giving you guys Celtics content up to the season, and we'll be covering it throughout the whole season. But let's get into the topics at hand, starting off first, talking about how Brad Stevens is preparing for the next NBA season. And yesterday, Brad Stevens was at the ABCD Hoop Tournament in the TD Garden, and he was actually asked some questions. And Gary Washburn from the Globe actually put an article revolving around this Brad Stevens interview. First, Brad Stevens was asked about how he felt about the replacements of some of his players. He actually said that obviously we lost guys like Grant Williams, like guys like Marcus Smart, and guys like Blake Griffin, but he feels confident in this team. He said that he likes this team. We've been lucky that year in, year out, we've been in the mix and we have a chance. We'll see if we take all the appropriate steps to put ourselves in that position, but we have a lot of flexibility. We can play big and small. I like, obviously, our experienced guys that everybody knows their name. I like those guys a lot. They can help lead it. But I like a lot of our younger guys and what they can ultimately become. We may not see that game to game right now, but I've been impressed by the way they've been working, and I'm excited about this mix of guys. And this is great as a Celtics fan to hear, as obviously he's confident in his guys like Tatum, Brown, Horford, Robert Williams, Derrick White, the guys that have been there, but he's very confident in the other pieces that we've acquired. Obviously, he's very confident in Kristaps Porzingis, as he tried to get the deal done with Malcolm Brogdon, and ultimately still wanted to get the deal done and gave up the heart and soul of the team in Marcus Smart. So Kristaps Porzingis was a big piece that the Celtics thought they could add, and it would tremendously affect how teams would play against them, and I think it will. Adding a 6-foot scorer from the center that can shot block and shoot threes, I think that tremendously helps out the Boston Celtics and helps teams actually have to actively defend their big man. As you know, Al Horford was a decent three-point shooter and could help carry the Celtics, but as we know, Robert Williams was never really a big three-point shooter, so a lot of teams didn't have to defend the three for our big man. Now, when Brad Stevens talks about bringing in some of these young guys, I'm very excited as well. He's obviously talking about guys like Jordan Walsh, guys like Oshae, Brissett, guys like Dalano, Banton. And those guys, obviously, he wants to give a shot to as well. As Brad Stevens mentions here, he says, tough know how to play ball, but also have a little bit of runaway, he said. We've had that walk a little bit. Banton is a good example. We haven't had a first-round pick in 3 years, so we can find young guys that we can invest in and really work with, and he's excited to be here. These guys are important. We're trying to win, but we're also trying to make sure we're using our other roster spots to make sure we're investing in young players. And this is great, obviously. Guy like Jordan Walsh, who was drafted in the second round. Celtics had a first-round pick, ended up trading back in the second round multiple times, and still got the guy that they wanted, who they felt was first-round talent. And this is great from the Celtics scouting department, and hopefully continues, as we'll see the Celtics still get some first-round picks, but hopefully decide to either move back if the guy they like is falling, or maybe they'll trade up for the guy that they actually want. But I think that the Celtics are actually going to manage their roster spots pretty well here. Guys like Banton, guys like Brissett will actually get their opportunities and be able to prove to Brad Stevens that they deserve it. And I think that even if they don't prove it their rookie year, I think that they'll still be able to have their roster spot for a couple years, and given their opportunity, I think Brad Stevens will let them stay. But now we're going to be focusing on what Brad Stevens had to say about the Celtics winning. Now, obviously, we lost guys like Smart, we lost guys like Williams, very good defensive guys and guys that bought into both sides of the floor and were very big parts of the Celtics culture. And now we're replacing those guys, again, with guys like Banton, Brissett, Lamar Stevens. It's going to be a little harder, as they're not going to be around the Celtics that much, obviously have that locker room intensity. It's going to take some time for them to get adjusted. But Brad Stevens still feels confident in the Celtics roster. He says that he's never entered a season without feeling pressure, but he also feels positive about the team he built over the offseason. Our goal is to win, and we ultimately always have been to keep up our ears to the ground and our eyes open, but we do like our team heading into the season. I'm interested to see how it still plays out. To be standing there at the end, a lot's got to get your way, but we know the path. We know how to get down knocking on that door. There's nothing we want more than knock it down. There's a sense of urgency for sure. And this is great, obviously. He's speaking on how the Celtics have been so close to the finals. Obviously, last year they got eliminated in Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals, and they ultimately probably would have won it if Jayson Tatum didn't get hurt in Game 7, and they didn't fall down 3-0 at the start. But the season before, we made the finals, lost in Game 6, almost won. So the Boston Celtics have been so close the past 2 years that Brad Stevens knows and is confident in his guys that they definitely want to reach this goal of making the finals and definitely feels confident in them in getting there, obviously, again. And I think with this new roster, he's definitely buying in and expressing interest in some of these guys. Obviously bringing in Porzingis, having Derrick White be the new starting point guard. Hopefully Malcolm Brogdon's ready to go, and the Celtics will be ready to be contenders again. But let's get into some more news talking about this interview from Brad Stevens, talking about Kristaps Porzingis being healthy for training camp. And this is great for the Boston Celtics, as we've already talked about Kristaps Porzingis a ton this offseason with his plantar fasciitis and how that was going to affect him and how he'd hopefully be ready to go at the start of training camp, and he will be. Kristaps Porzingis was talked about from Brad Stevens, and even though Kristaps Porzingis did sit out in the Latvian FIBA for the Latvian team in the FIBA World Cup, Stevens said that Porzingis is expected to participate in the open training camp practice. Kristaps has been running up and down the court the last few days, Stevens said. I thought the progression that his trainers there in Latvia, our trainers here, and everybody came up with to get him back so that he could avoid anything lingering was a key. Feels great. I just literally talked to him on the phone on my way here. He said he feels good. And that's awesome. Obviously, I don't think that the Celtics really knew about this plantar fasciitis when they traded for Kristaps Porzingis, or they wouldn't have made the move, as we've seen that Malcolm Brogdon obviously wasn't involved in the deal with his elbow injury. I think the Celtics would have made that an issue. But obviously trading for Kristaps Porzingis, finding out he has some sort of injury, you obviously want to make sure he's healed and ready to go for the start of the season, or that he doesn't involve himself in the Latvian team so that he does re-injure it himself and then is hurt for you in the regular season. I think Kristaps Porzingis is actually doing it the smart way, obviously taking some time, taking some rest through the offseason, and now recently just starting to run up and down the court. We've seen clips of him running up and down the court as well. So Kristaps Porzingis hopefully ready to go for training camp, going to be hopefully the starting Celtics center for us, and will be ready to go into the season with Kristaps Porzingis healthy to go. But the main news comes along the lines of Malcolm Brogdon. And are those Malcolm Brogdon issues resolved? According to Brad Stevens, they are. And I know I've mentioned many times, we obviously had the Malcolm Brogdon trade videos that we've done. We've had 2 of them with Buddy Hield, and we've had one recently come out the other day with Malcolm Brogdon trades, which I'll put in the top up here below. So if you missed that video, you can check it out. But don't leave this video. Make sure you check it out after we get through this video. But guys, Malcolm Brogdon might be here to stay in Boston. And I know a lot of you guys in the comment section have been expressing that you guys actually want to keep Malcolm Brogdon. So I think that you guys will be very happy with this news. Obviously, Stevens, who arrived in Boston following a speaking arrangement, made his special appearance at the ABCD Hoops tournament at TD Garden, where he acknowledged that Brogdon was upset about nearly being traded in the Clippers in July, but the sides have had conversations over in the past few weeks. Brogdon arrived in Boston and will be ready for training camp. And Stevens says, everybody's in Boston, everybody's healthy, knock on wood. If everybody gets through the rest of the week, we should be full by next Tuesday when we start practice, and we're excited about that. So what that shows to me is that the Celtics are confident in keeping Malcolm Brogdon. Malcolm Brogdon might not be confident in staying in Boston, but he'll be at training camp. He's going to be a well-prepared human. He's going to do his job and actually show up and not, be a little diva like some of these NBA superstars have been in the past. But Malcolm Brogdon will show up for his job and be there. Ultimately, will the Celtics still be looking to move off of him? We really don't know. Obviously, they're going to schmooze it all over and cover it up. But I think that by Malcolm Brogdon reporting to these camps, the Celtics are saying to themselves that we need to buy in with this guy, and at very least, we need to start at least the first 15 to 20 games with him on our roster, and then possibly, if we want to move him, we might be able to move him to a team if a team's looking to tear it down or a team's actually trying to contend if their point guard gets hurt. But Malcolm Brogdon, in news also, Brad Stevens had to say, of course, and I would say that he had every right to feel upset about this trade. Stevens said that we said that this summer, but he's a real pro, and so we've had several discussions. He's looking forward to getting started. We're looking forward to getting started, and here we go. So what this shows to me is obviously Brad Stevens and Malcolm Brogdon have had these talks, and we've talked about how they have talked about this over. I think Brad Stevens is kind of just trying to schmooze it over a little bit, kind of make it seem like it's not as worse as we think. I think Brogdon's still a little bit upset. I think he'd be a little bit butthurt from this, and so would I. And I think because of that, he definitely doesn't want to be with the Celtics. And if there was an opportunity for him to leave for the right price, I think that the Celtics and him would mutually agree to do it. But if the price isn't there and he wants to win a championship still and still has a great role on the Celtics, and Brad Stevens, I'm sure, has assured him that, I think he'd still be willing to stay and still compete with this Celtics team and be ready to go at the start of training camp. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Are you guys excited that Malcolm Brogdon and Kristaps Porzingis are back for the regular season? And do you guys think the Celtics are going to be solid with them? How do you guys think the Celtics are going to finish in the regular season in the Eastern Conference? Let me know what you guys think for our predictions in the comment section below. As always, I'm Bruce Veliz, catching you guys on Celtics Digest. We greatly appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.